How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether price is going up or down. So we will get to futures on the daily, but we are getting pretty close to our gapped area, so that could be positive, providing we meet that support. Over on the Dixie for the daily, we are starting to reject our pattern. Again, that could be more positivity for us, because remember, if this pattern does reject, we will see price action drop for the Dixie. And if it drops for the Dixie, then we will see a continuation to the downside for it, and since it is inversely related to crypto, we would see crypto push forward. Our stochastic does want to round away. RSI is losing some strength. Momentum is starting to round. Our VWAP is breaking bearish. Money flow is pulling back. So overall, we do look like we could continue lower. I would watch. This could be positive for crypto. Remember, they are inversely related. Over on this 4 hour, we are trying to bounce off our support though, so I would watch. We did make a retest, and we are starting to get that rejection. We want to see a break of the support level if we're going to get a continuation to the downside. That continuation to the downside would be what would help push crypto up. Our momentum is dropping down. We do have bearish divergence on it, so I would watch as that VWAP is favoring bearish, our yellow wave. So as that yellow wave continues to pull back, we will see our blue wave continue to drop, and that will result in more selling pressure, weakening money flow, showing we are seeing more selling than buying. So overall, I would exercise caution here. This is, again, good. Our 2 hour here, RSI and stochastic are overall starting to weaken. Stochastic's pretty beat down. RSI is about to round, so if that stochastic continues to favor bearish here, we will see that RSI pull back. That VWAP is trying to push forward. Momentum wants to gain strength, and the money flow is bearish. But if that VWAP remains in the bearish territory, we would see a pullback. That VWAP does want to try to break neutral. We do currently have a consistent low, so watch for a lower high. If we get that lower high, that would create that bearish trend to bring momentum lower and break that money flow down, resulting in those higher time frames weakening. Over on the 1 hour, stochastic does want to push up, but it's starting to round, so I would watch. If it can't continue to gain strength here, we could reject into bearish territory. That would bring our RSI lower, causing that VWAP to round away, and momentum would start to round back toward the bearish territory, bringing money flow lower, which would weaken those higher time frames and cause a sell-off. So over on our altcoins for the daily, remember this is total. This is the market cap of all the altcoins besides Ethereum. We do have a bit of positivity as we are trying to hold within this range. We didn't really get much loss. Again, we did pull back to fill our futures gap. We will get to that shortly, but we haven't filled it completely. So I would watch for slight further losses. We are getting a rejection of this rising channel though, so we will delete that because it's no longer valid. Stochastic does want to round away here, that double line, so as that blue curls away, if it breaks that orange, we could see a bearish cross, which would bring RSI, the red line, lower and cause price action to drop. Remember that RSI is the relative strength index, and as it goes up, price typically goes up. When it starts to come back down, price will start to react negative. VWAP, our yellow wave, does want to round away, causing that momentum to remain bearish. So if that yellow wave continues to push lower, we could break that neutral and slip into a bearish trend. If we do that, then we could push lower, reject this golden pocket, and see this bear flag play out. Remember that bear flag could take us pretty low. That would be retesting previous bull market ranges. So we will jump to the 4 hour. Over on the 4 hour, we did try to break forward, and then we got that rejection on that golden pocket. That's why that's an important area to watch. If we continue to push forward through it, we could see strong bullish momentum, but rejection of it is similar to rejecting that 300 EMA. It's a very strong area to get a rejection from. Stochastic is dropping, RSI is pulling back, that VWAP is pushing lower, and the money flow is weakening. So overall, I would exercise some caution here. Over on the 2 hour, our RSI is starting to drop away. Stochastic is pulling back. That VWAP is getting lower lows. We are struggling to break toward a higher high. So if we get a lower high here with that yellow wave, we will see a bearish channel. That bearish channel would bring that VWAP lower, causing that blue wave, our momentum, to sell off and breaking money flow lower, showing that people are selling more than they're buying. And if we're selling off altcoins, usually most of your altcoins are going to drop. Now I move my mic in front of my percentage, sorry about that. But that VWAP is trying to push up. We want that VWAP to get a higher high followed by higher lows. If we don't see that, it's likely bears would remain in control, so keep that in mind. Over on the 1 hour, we are trying to bounce off the bottom of our flag. I would watch if we do not break forward or break down from this bounce and we try to push toward the top again, we could invalidate this flag. However, if we do start to slip away here and we break some support areas like this, like 591,435, then we could continue lower. RSI is pushing down. Our stochastic is favoring bearish. It did try to run up but got rejected, which made price action slip with that RSI. The VWAP does have lower lows, and we are trying to make a lower high. If we continue to push bearishly, we will see that momentum reject that double green dot. We would see money flow start to pull bearish, and that could start to weaken those higher time frames, resulting in more of a sell-off. But again, I don't think it would be too bad, providing that Dixie does want to break down as well. So over on Bitcoin dominance, we do have this fixed range volume profile. We are overall sliding away from. Remember, as dominance slips, that does suggest that altcoins can run up ahead of Bitcoin. Our RSI is dropping down. VWAP is in the bearish territory. Momentum is dropping, and the money flow is turned around. So I would watch that VWAP. We do have lower lows with lower highs. If that does persist, momentum will continue lower, and that money flow could slip into the bearish territory, and we could see a break of dominance, which could end up breaking Bitcoin down. But remember, it doesn't have to. It just represents that we are seeing more price action toward altcoins or stablecoins than Bitcoin. If it's stablecoins, then Bitcoin would likely break down. If altcoins are pumping, then likely Bitcoin could trail behind. We could have a descending channel here. This would only be one touch to the top, two touches to the bottom. We could be trying to make another touch up. I would watch if we can continue bullish momentum here. If we can, we may see dominance push up, and that could cause Bitcoin to increase. So back to Bitcoin futures. Remember, we don't go too low on the dominance because it really doesn't matter too much on dominance. We are kind of zigzagging around. You can see we did hit our first level here where that first gapped area was. That is positive. We are pulling back toward our second gapped area. If we can meet support here and continue further, that would give us that chance to see the bull flag play out and possibly bring us around that 90K. But if we break that 57K level, then that's where we would invalidate this pattern and potentially see our double top break down. RSI is pulling back. Our stochastic does want to round away. Our VWAP is in the bearish territory attempting to break up. So watch the lower time frames. If they can gain some bullish momentum, we could see that VWAP run further. Our momentum does have a double green dot. Money flow is pretty stagnant, but if that momentum starts to push forward, our money flow will start to follow. Over on the 4 hour, you can see that break toward this channel. So we did touch toward the top of our gapped area. We are filling this 4 hour gap, so that is positive. Stochastic is dropping away. RSI is weakening as a result. Momentum is pulling back. That VWAP is breaking down, and money flow is remaining more bearish. Remember, we did warn that if we do push up, it may not be sustained because of the gaps we have, and you do see a pretty volatile move down. So hopefully you heeded my warning. That VWAP does have lower lows here on the 2 hour with lower highs, so we have a bearish trend forming. That bearish trend could bring momentum lower, which would result in money flow going lower as well, resulting in people selling off. Now RSI is dropping, stochastic is dropping, so the 2 hour doesn't look too strong right now. But again, if we do meet support in this gapped area, that would be positive, and that would set us up for a strong move forward because we did see a very quick move down here. And remember, a quick move down usually is retraced, and we do have a gap to the upside. So that gap to the upside is going to play out like the gaps to the downside. RSI is pulling back. The VWAP does have higher lows, and it wants to break for a higher high. If we can get a higher high here, that would be positive, and we could continue to run forward. Momentum does want to gain strength, and our money flow is pushing up. So if that VWAP can create a bullish trend on the lower time frame, the 1 hour, we could start to try to push those higher time frames up. But remember, it does take a little bit of time. Over on Bitcoin, going to be very similar. We did invalidate our rising triangle possibility. So again, that does show how Bitcoin and futures are correlated. we did have that bearish momentum on futures, so hopefully you didn't skip on that TA. RSI is pulling back, stochastic does want to round away. That VWAP is struggling here. We're kind of zigzagging around that neutral, so I would exercise caution because this could create a bear flag with this consolidation range. Remember, when you consolidate after a breakdown, that does create a bear flag, so we use the parallel channel, the trend line, then you pull your trend line below your channel if you can grab the right line, and that could give us that breakdown toward our neckline area. So I would exercise caution if we don't meet that support on futures. Momentum does want to push up, but it's not really gaining much strength because our VWAP isn't pushing up very decisively. Over on the 4-hour, you could call this flag kind of invalidated. We do kind of have higher lows. We are trying to push up. If we can get some higher highs here, that would be positive. Right now, we kind of look zigzaggy. You could say that channel we had kind of elongated instead. So you could try to draw like way out here, and then you would draw your trend line from the tops, and then they would connect, and then that would give you a breakup point. You measure from support to resistance or resistance to support, and that could break us up around that 65K. So we can make that a different color because that's pretty hard to see right now. So we'll make them black lines. If I can grab the right lines, that is. Sometimes TradingView doesn't like me, so there we go. And now it's a little easier to see. So that triangle being a little more elongated does mean it is going to take more time to play out. So stochastic is dropping away. RSI does want to pull back. Momentum is weakening, so I would watch. If we do trade within this channel, we could invalidate that bear flag possibility. These lows really don't connect on the 4-hour, but they do connect on the daily. Remember, the daily pattern is going to be a little stronger than the 4-hour, but the 4-hour pattern can still invalidate the daily pattern. Our momentum is pushing down. VWAP has lower lows and potentially making lower highs, so I would exercise caution. Stochastic is dropping away, and our RSI is losing strength, so the 2-hour is not too positive right now. Over on the 1-hour, we are getting a strong bounce off the bottom of this channel, which is both these channels, so that is positive. We could continue forward. This pattern does look a little better on the lower time frames. RSI is pulling back. Our stochastic does want to round away, and that momentum is overall pushing down. We do have a green dot, though, as that VWAP does want to break bullish. If that VWAP can hold bullish momentum, we could see momentum push forward, and that would give this rising triangle the possibility to push up. However, if that VWAP remains more bearish, we're probably going to see that flag on the daily break us down. So I would watch. We do need to meet some support soon. Now over on graph for the daily, stochastic is starting to round away. We do have the orange above blue. RSI is weakening. The VWAP does want to push down. Momentum is rounding with a red dot as that VWAP does want to break neutral, so I would exercise caution. We could see a continued sell-off. Money flow is pulling back, so overall I would exercise caution, but we are coming down toward the bottom of our triangle. Ideally, we would get bounced and pushed to the bullish side. I would watch the lower time frames though. They're going to tell you where your probability will lie. Over on the 4-hour here, our RSI is dropping away, stochastic is pulling back. That VWAP has lower lows with lower highs, so we're in a bearish trend, causing momentum to sell off. And money flow is pulling back, so overall I would exercise caution here. Over on the 2-hour, not sure where our market cipher A went, so market cipher A decided to take a vacation on us. We're going to have to reset that up. I don't know why that disappeared. So we don't have all our EMA levels. We will get those back. I apologize. But we are overall pulling back. Stochastic is dropping down. RSI is pulling back, momentum is falling, the VWAP does have higher lows, and we are trying to push that neutral. If the VWAP can break through that neutral, we could try to gain some bullish momentum here, so that's going to be what you want to watch for on these lower time frames. If we zoom into the 1-hour, we do have two gaps to the upside, so that could be positive. Remember how the gap played on futures. RSI is pulling back, stochastic is favoring bearish. VWAP does want to break up, so watch that VWAP close. Momentum has a double green dot, suggesting VWAP is trying to break through. If it can break through and hold, we could see momentum continue further, and our money flow would start to gain some strength then. Over on Ankr for the daily, we are somewhat consolidating overall, so I would exercise caution. If we pull back and hit that 2883, we could see a bear flag form here that could bring us lower. However, if we continue with these kind of higher highs and higher lows, we could try to make some sort of triangle forward. RSI is trying to push up, stochastic wants to run up, momentum is gaining strength, VWAP is remaining bullish, and the money flow is indecisive. But if that VWAP can continue to favor bullish, we could see momentum break up, and that would give that money flow strength over time. Over on the 4-hour here, stochastic is starting to round away, RSI is pulling back, our money flow is pulling back as well, VWAP's breaking down, and momentum is pushing with a red dot. So overall, the 4-hour doesn't look too positive. We have lower highs with a long upper shadow candle breaking that support level. So overall, if we continue to pull back here, we could get that push to that 2883, and that could give us bearish possibilities. So I would exercise caution. This could also be a bit of a symmetrical triangle here. And a symmetrical triangle, as we covered on graph, does have a possibility to push you up 50-50. So there's about how it would look. So you could push slightly higher toward your 34, possibly around that 33. If we broke down, it would probably break us to that 2883. RSI is pulling back, stochastic's rounding away. VWAP wants to break down, momentum is rounding. Overall, we're not looking too positive. Over on the 2-hour here, our stochastic is dropping down, RSI is pulling back, VWAP has lower lows. I would watch because we also are trying to make lower highs, and if we get lower highs, we will see a bearish trend bring momentum lower, causing money flow to reject that neutral and weakening those higher time frames. Over on our 1-hour, RSI is pulling back, stochastic does want to push forward. Sorry, zooming in the wrong way here. Our stochastic does want to drop down. We do have our blue below our orange, so that's that bearish cross. We are overall dropping away. Momentum's rounding. VWAP wants to break down. I would watch. We do have a higher high, but if we don't get a higher low, we could see the bears regain control. We do have a gap to the upside for us, but we also have a gap to the downside. A gap to the downside could pull us down near that support, maybe get a freak breakdown, and then we could potentially push forward and fill the higher gap afterwards. We also have another gap above our channel right around that 32.28, so that's likely where we could break up to. RSI is pulling back, stochastic's dropping away. VWAP is overall breaking that neutral, and momentum does want to round, so I would watch that VWAP close. If it continues to push down here, we will see the bears regain control. Over on XRP for the daily, we are overall rejecting the top of our channel. We try to break forward, but we're struggling. If we cannot break forward soon, we could see a rejection, pull back, and see a break to the bearish side. We do technically have 3 attempts to break up, one here, and one on the current candle. Stochastic is dropping. If we don't break up after that third, usually that's where you invalidate. So I would watch. If we do invalidate, that's where we could see like that 35-cent zone. Momentum is pushing down. We do have a double green dot because our VWAP does want to break bullish. So watch the lower time frames. If they can gain some bullish momentum, we could push forward. But if they start to reject, we're likely continuing lower. Money flow is in the bearish territory. So overall, I would exercise caution. Over on the 4-hour, you can see we're zigzagging around. We do have higher highs with higher lows. So this is a bullish continuation channel. That could be positive, that could help take us away from our channel and give us that break up. However, if we do see a lower low here, we could see the bears start to gain control. Stochastic is dropping away, we have orange above blue, RSI is pulling back, momentum is rounding with a red dot, VWAP is breaking down, and our momentum is causing money flow to sell off, so I would exercise caution here. Over on the 2-hour, we are somewhat consolidating, so I would exercise caution. Remember, a consolidation after a breakdown can continue a breakdown. VWAP is bearish, momentum's breaking down, stochastic is starting to drop, and the RSI is pulling back. So overall, I would exercise caution. Over on the 1-hour here, we are overall rejecting that channel. We do have a lot of weak candles though, so we don't really have much momentum one way or the other right now. Stochastic is dropping down, RSI is pulling back, VWAP does have higher lows. If we can break for higher highs, that would be positive, and that would cause momentum to gain strength. If it can sustain a bullish push, then we would be able to see that break forward and see that continuation give us bullish momentum. However, if that VWAP does reject here, our yellow wave, our momentum, our blue wave will continue lower, and we could see that green wave, hard to see, break into the red. That is our money flow, and then we could have a sell-off. That sell-off would cause us to start to slide. So over on ALGO for the daily, we are overall trying to push forward, but we're not getting very much momentum. Stochastic is rounding, RSI is flat, VWAP is flat, momentum is trying to push up because that VWAP is bullish. If that VWAP can continue forward, we can see momentum continue to lug its way up, which could push that money flow higher. However, if that VWAP breaks down, I would exercise caution. Over on the 4-hour here, we do have higher highs with higher lows, so this could be positive. We are trying to push up. If this can continue, we could see a bullish continuation run us forward. VWAP is breaking down, momentum is rounding with a double red dot. Stochastic is dropping down, and the RSI is selling off. So overall, the 4-hour does look more bearish than bullish. Over on the 2-hour, Stochastic is dropping away, RSI is pulling back. The momentum does want to break bearish, as that VWAP is favoring bearish as well. If that VWAP continues to favor bearish here, we will see money flow start to round away, potentially breaking red and selling off. Over on the 1-hour, RSI is pulling back, Stochastic is dropping. The VWAP is trying to break toward that neutral, but it's struggling to get over. If that VWAP cannot maintain a bullish trend from here, we will see momentum start to drop away with VWAP, and money flow will break down lower. That will cause those higher time frames to start to sell off, and that could cause a further breakdown, potentially retesting some lower areas. But remember, we do have a bullish continuation, so if this can maintain, we could try to run up. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a great night.